Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for Fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan and welcome to the Gameweek 38, the final buy, sell, keep, avoid video of the season. It's the last one, guys. I can't believe it. It's a little bit emotional, if I'm honest. This series has kind of defined my channel in many ways and it's just made this channel kind of what it is today over the last year. And this is the last one of the season, and we're going to have a long old break before we start doing the Game Week 1 buy, sell, keep, avoid videos for next season. It's going to be a little while till we start doing that. So, yeah, it's a very strange one, guys. But of course, we are going to be doing our very best to accurately predict the best players to buy, sell, keep, and avoid. We've been doing pretty well recently, so long may that continue. Long may that continue indeed. But yeah, guys, I'm in a kind of a weird mood. Doing this. It's a little bit emotional. But guys, if you do enjoy this series, if you have enjoyed the series all season, please do make sure you drop a like on the video. I'd really appreciate that. And of course, if you're new around here, this is the first time you've seen me. Well, it's the last time you're going to see this buy, sell, keep, avoid videos for a little while. But consider subscribing anyway, guys. Why the devil not? But before we get into it, OneFootball have sponsored this video for the last time this season. There you go, guys. So yeah, OneFootball, it's a great app / website for all things football. I kind of use the OneFootball mobile app when I want to check on scores, I want to check on lineups. It's really easy to all do it all in the same place, and it's also good for stats and stuff for games that you're not watching, or you want to see who's been substituted off, you want to see what the lineup, the formations like, that kind of thing. If you're not watching the game, it's really useful like that, and I'm definitely going to use it consistently throughout the Euros. This app, I think it's going to be fantastic, and it's also a great source of football transfer news and rumours. Of course, the transfer window opening up very soon, so we're going to see a lot of stuff on there as well. So yeah, all in one place, completely free, of course, guys. Check out the link in my description and yeah, go check it out. Why not? So very quickly, buys of players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in, sells of players you probably have but should consider removing, keeps of players you probably have and should keep, and avoids of players you probably don't have and should avoid. Now, we've got some general advice this week, and I guess that would be to triple up on Liverpool. I think that's the first priority. Like, make sure you've got Salah, make sure you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, and after that, you kind of got a few options. You can kind of go for Mane, Firmino, Robertson, maybe Phillips. Now, neither of my buys are Liverpool players. Just because I've spoken a lot about some of the Liverpool players I like recently already, hopefully already you guys are going to be tripled up on Liverpool. But if you're not, or if you can't find a realistic way to triple up on Liverpool, or you've got multiple transfers, something like that, hopefully I'll help you out with some other options as well. So yeah, try and focus on Liverpool first and foremost. That's your priority. And then after that, try and focus on teams with something to play for, and maybe think about selling players from teams that don't have very much to play for. That's kind of going to be the theme of the video, which you'll soon find out as we go through all of our players today. But let's start you off with some buys. Now, our first buy is Antonio. Now, I have a feeling a few of you guys are going to be looking for strikers this week in terms of big hitting players for the final game week, I guess. It's going to be all about forwards and midfielders. Now, one option is to go for Chris Wood. He has a great fixture against Sheffield United and he's in the form of his life. The problem with Wood is that he played 90 minutes versus versus Liverpool, and Burnley have nothing to play for, right? It's kind of the exact same situation with Bamford with Leeds, except Bamford, he's kind of not showing the same form as Wood, to be fair, and Leeds, I don't know, it's you know, a 12-point haul last week obviously made everyone think, okay, yeah, maybe let's go for Bamford. He is a solid option, but again, that's not really enough to convince me that Bamford is a buy. I do prefer Antonio because he's in similar form to some of the other guys around his price. You know, if you look at the stats, you kind of put him in the same category as Wood or Iheanacho. So kind of 13 shots, 10 in the box, 4 big chances, 1.92 expected goals, 4 key passes, 0.58 expected assists. Now, these stats have been recorded in just 4 games. Usually we do stats for the last 5 games, don't we? But of course, Antonio's been injured. He's come straight back in. He's played 90 minutes every game. And now he's back from injury and looking really good, to be fair. So, although they don't look quite at the same level as some of the other forwards, when you factor in minutes played, Antonio is really right up there. Now, he's got a great fixture at home to Southampton, who have nothing to play for. Southampton also, they're conceding a lot of goals and a lot of chances right now as well. And Antonio is kind of the clear best striker for West Ham, who need at least a point to book themselves a place in the Europa League next year. So these are kind of players we want to go for the final game weeks. There's going to be heavy rotation. There's going to be players on the teams on the beach, players on the bench, players with personal goals, players with personal agendas. Game week 38 is always kind of a weird one. So a great bit of advice is to focus on a team like West Ham, pick the best players from these teams with so much to play for, because West Ham are going to be playing with the ferocity as they would have in previous game weeks as well. And they're against a team who could just be waiting for their summer holiday to roll around, to be honest. Next buy is Raphinha, an FPL Mate channel legend, and he's kind of a nearly man in terms of FPL, isn't he? So sometimes it feels like Raphinha almost gets goals and assists, almost gets bonus points, but often just falls short slightly. Now, recently, it's kind of been Harrison picking up those points. Raphinha's been injured, remember. He's had limited minutes as he kind of gears back up. To me, though, having watched Raphinha all season, he's the real deal. This guy is quality, and I think he's kind of been really unlucky not to get more points this season. It's not like he hasn't got any points whatsoever. He's got, 6 goals, 9 assists in 25, 26 starts. That's more than a goal contribution every other game. Now, what's even better is that Leeds are in fantastic goal-scoring form right now. And I think Raphinha returning to the team is kind of a big part of that as well. So Leeds have scored 9 goals in the last 3 games. Although Raphinha has only got 2 assists in this period, he only came back from injury with a cameo appearance at the end of game week 35, and then has actually started only 2 games. And he did have a goal disallowed last game week too. My point is, don't underestimate what Raphinha can bring to the table. He's kind of on corners, free kicks. He's the most talented player in a Leeds team who are scoring for fun. He is more than capable of a decent haul. He's had decent hauls before, and for 5.5 million, you really can't go wrong at that kind of price, can you? If that is kind of the budget that you're working with. So if you're in the market for a cheap midfielder, Raphinha could be a man. And guys, if you are worried about Leeds not having anything to play for in the final day, I think they're kind of in the middle ground a little bit, because technically they can actually finish as high as 7th. But regardless, I don't really see Marcelo Bielsa and his team as a team to down tools kind of thing. And in their first season back in the Premier League, they're going to be the first game in however many years, with like 15 years, something like that, since they last played a game in front of a home crowd in the Premier League. I think they're just going to want to finish as high as possible, and they can still jump up several places, and I think they're going to be going balls to the wall and perform really well. On to some sells. We're going to start off with Bruno Fernandes. I say this sell has pretty simple reasoning, and the reasoning is that I don't think Bruno is going to play in game week 38, or at least I don't think he's guaranteed to play, not even nearly guaranteed to play. And if he does, perhaps it's a token few minutes at the end of the game if United are losing to Wolves or something. But why won't he play? Well, because United play the Europa League final game just 3 days after their game against Wolves, all the way in Gdansk in Poland. It's a short rest, a long trip for United's biggest game of the season. United are also now guaranteed to finish second in the league. This Wolves game is the very definition of a nothing game for both teams. All focus is going to be on the Europa League for Manchester United, and I'm forecasting some major rotation casualties as Ollie kind of preps his team for the far, far more important European game. Now, I've spoken about this before, but I'll speak again. Manchester United have a long history of playing young players, their youth players, once their league position is wrapped up. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a team kind of similar to the one in the middle of that triple game week against Leicester, when there was heavy rotation there. So there's going to be some youth players, some fringe players getting some game time, and we've got Martial potentially coming back from injury. We know he's training right now, so no player is safe. And I would be worried, at least a little bit worried, about Bruno, Rashford to a degree, Greenwood, Luke Shaw. Pretty much any Man United player that you have is not guaranteed to play, unfortunately. And a player like Bruno, Manchester United's best player, and a player who's played an insane amount of game time, you think there's a huge chance he actually gets a rest, maybe a 50-50 chance. Now, on the other hand, and another reason which really convinces me that Bruno is a sell, you've got an easy transfer switch to make if you do have Bruno right now. It's a really obvious one. You just go Bruno to Mane. I thoroughly recommend this one. So Mane has the form, the fixture, and the motivation to smash it in game week 38. He really does. Of course, if you don't have Salah as well, I hope most of you guys have Salah by now, but if you don't, that's an even more obvious transfer to go from Bruno to Salah. But I'm guessing most of you have Salah already, so in which case, Bruno to Mane, that's your transfer for the week sorted. It's got a potential of being a really positive, progressive transfer that's actually going to gain you so many points. I would definitely be doing that if I was a Bruno owner. My next sell is Ollie Watkins. Now, pretty much every week I put Watkins in the keep section to the point you guys are probably a little bit bored of me hyping up Ollie Watkins every week. But hopefully, at least some of you have listened to me because he's returned in 7 out of his last 8 game weeks. The guy just keeps returning to the point where my continual message is kind of be, he's just not worth transferring out. But that is until now. Now, Chelsea are the most horrible team you could face as an attacker. They don't concede shots, really, let alone goals. They rank top in pretty much every defensive metric by some distance. So, least shots conceded, least shots in the box, least big chances conceded, least set piece chances conceded, etc., etc., etc. Basically, if you're an attacker facing Chelsea, you are fresh out of luck. And since Watkins is an attacker facing Chelsea, for once, I'm not expecting anything from him this game week. I'm not saying Villa can't score, but they're not going to score more than once even if they do score, and then you kind of got to pray that Watkins is involved in that one goal. It's kind of a far, far lower ceiling than some of the other similarly priced forwards that I've kind of been speaking about, and as such, it's a very easy switch. You know, so if you want to go for Antonio, if you want to go for Chris Wood, if you want to go for Patrick Bamford, super easy switch. And there's also the kind of the dynamic of the game. So if Chelsea don't win, they could easily drop out of the top 4. So this is a big important game to Chelsea. Villa, on the other hand, they're in 11th position. It's mathematically impossible for them to jump to 10th or to drop to 12th. So they're guaranteed to finish exactly where they are right now. So this game couldn't mean any less to them. So I expect maybe some youth players from Villa to come in. I know they've got that young, talented guy, I think he's a winger, Carney Chukwuemeka. Maybe Villa fans, you're going to know a few more of the young guys at Villa. If you do know any young players you think might play for Villa this game week, please do let us know in the comments. I'm sure we'll all be really interested to see. But yeah, Chelsea, a very good defence with everything to play for. Villa, a meh team, I guess, right now, with nothing to play for whatsoever. And I think it's a pretty easy decision to sell Watkins for another forward. On to some keeps, so we're going to start off with Iheanacho. He's been a bit of a legend, hasn't he? But a lot of people have sold him. But if you have somehow managed to hold on to Iheanacho all this time, I would definitely keep him at this point. Definitely. Another goal against Chelsea, despite not even starting the game. He's kind of shown us that he's still very much the man in form. His stats are just ridiculous, and they have been for ages. He's shooting non-stop. He's the most dangerous player for Leicester. He's rested, so he'll be ready to go again. And of course, let's go back to the same thing I keep saying. Leicester have something to play for. Leicester currently sit in 5th and are in a kind of a 3-way battle with Chelsea and Liverpool to claim the 2 Champions League spots. So this is really huge for them. And although Leicester, I think we probably all agree that they're least likely to get into the top 4 out of those 3 teams, they're still going to be going crazy trying to achieve this, hoping one of the other teams slip up. And of course, even if the others don't slip up, they can still do it on goal difference. So you could see an all-out attack Leicester team just desperate to get as many goals as possible, never really defending. It's just going to be goals galore or balls to the wall, you know, that kind of deal. So it could be interesting in that way. Now Spurs, many of you guys will look at the Spurs fixture. If you look on the website, if you look on the app, you'll see, Spurs, is it a grey fixture? Is it a red fixture? I don't know what they rate Spurs these days. But guys, for an attacking fixture, a game against Spurs is really not that difficult. They're kind of conceding so many goals, aren't they? It happened again. They conceded twice to Villa. Leeds scored 3 times against Spurs, didn't they? Everton scored 2. United scored 3. Even Newcastle scored 2 a fair few weeks ago now, but I still remember it clear as day. So there's no doubt in my mind that Iheanacho can score in this game. And I probably would even consider actually buying Iheanacho in, bringing him in for this game. So if you've got him already, definitely keep him, guys. My next keep is Jesse Lingard. I think he's more of a meh keep. You're not really keeping him because you think he's going to be one of the stars of the game week, but despite the fixture, you'll probably say the odd assist, maybe a scrappy goal is kind of the best you hope for Lingard, which is not bad, but it's not amazing. Now, Lingard's stats have dropped off a cliff recently. He's no longer that guy in the rich vein of form. He's no longer impressing nearly as much right now. That said, he's playing for a West Ham team trying to secure themselves a European place where there's going to be heavy rotation, a lack of motivation for so many other teams in the league. With Lingard, at least you give yourself a little bit of solidarity, a little bit of you give yourself a really good chance. Basically, it's going to be a really weird game week. So sometimes I think it's better off just to bank on the pockets of predictability that we can actually find. And like I said, it's not that I think Lingard is an amazing pick, but I can almost guarantee that most of you guys will have much bigger problems in your squad. Do you have Manchester United players who are likely to rotate? Can you cover it on the bench? Do you have Man City players? Do you have Villa players who have this tough fixture and nothing to play for? Do you still have Jota or Cancelo who's got his red card, or Gundogan might be injured, or Eze who's injured? You know, I really would kind of focus your transfers on players who are big rotation risks, covering players who are big rotation risks, or, you know, players who genuinely have like a really bad fixture or absolutely nothing to play for. Now, Lingard doesn't fit into any of those negative categories, I guess. So I think it's just a safe bet to just keep him. On to some avoids. We're going to start off with Phil Foden. Now, this avoid is a risky avoid. I am partial to a risky avoid. I like to stick my neck out there a little bit, because Foden is kind of one of those unpredictable pep roulette players that you never know when he's going to play. If you just want to take a huge risk and you don't really care about covering yourself, then go for Foden. Why not? Because when he does play, obviously you've got a really good chance of returns. But it's just, when is he going to play? We don't really know. But this is the thing. Foden has only started 2 games in a row on 6 occasions all season, and you know, since he played 90 minutes last game, he's kind of a first choice Champions League player, and he plays the final of the Champions League just a few days after Gameweek 38, with City kind of with nothing to play for since they smashed the league ages ago. They're playing against Everton, who are a team with more to play for. Everton, of course, a team that's actually been pretty good defensively, conceding hardly any goals recently, and are kind of proving to be one of the best defences in the league, on current form at least. Then when you look at all of those factors, you kind of think, why would you go for Foden? I know you might appreciate, you might want to go for a risk, but surely there are better risks out there to go for. Because I feel like bringing in Foden, you do so knowing there's a 50-50 chance that he doesn't even play. And then if you've got players like Greenwood, Shaw, Bruno, other City players, other rotation risks in your team already, you're adding another rotation risk player to your team, and you kind of start to run a real risk of going into Gameweek 38 without a full starting 11. Now, that would be a nightmare way to end the season. So can Foden do the business when he starts? Yes, of course he can. That's why this is a risky one from my part. If I'm wrong and he does start, well, I mean, it's not. I'm obviously not saying he's definitely not going to start. It's the risk that I'm more bothered about. But if he does start, you could say, oh wow, I can't believe you said it to avoid him. He's done amazingly. It's very difficult to say, well, if he's going to start, and it's just this huge element of risk here. And trust me, guys, and some of you will know, I'm someone who loves a cheeky punt, a cheeky differential, a cheeky risk. But for me, it has to be a calculated risk, and I feel like Foden is a bit knee-jerk based on his goal last game week. If you've got Foden already, absolutely, I would definitely keep him. Why not? You know, you've got nothing to lose. But buying him in now for the last game of the season as someone who is so rotation risky, with already so many players right now who we wouldn't expect to be rotation risk, are suddenly rotation risk because of the final game of the season factor, I guess. Foden, it seems like kind of the worst thing to add to your team as a player that is more risk. Right, my final avoid is Cavani. Now, this one I am much more convinced by as an avoid, which is why I thought I'd save it to last. And I'm kind of praying, guys, that none of you have transferred in Cavani already, because I am so certain he's not going to start in this game against Wolves. And if he does, it would literally be more surprising to me than Scott Carson starting in Gameweek 36. Cavani is Manchester United's first choice Europa League striker. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's 3 days and a plane trip between the last day of the season and the Europa League final in Poland. Now, Cavani never starts 2 games in 1 week. I just don't think he has the legs for it. His game times needs to be managed. He kind of played last Thursday. He then played again on Tuesday, so he's already pushing his luck a little bit by playing twice in the space of 5 games. He's not going to play on Sunday too with a view to play in the Europa League final, because that would mean he'd start 4 games in 13 days, which is just absolutely never happening in a million years. Then we've got rumours that Anthony Martial, well, we know he's back in training, but there's kind of rumours that he could potentially be starting, maybe getting him back in the swing of things. Then we've got all of these other youth forwards that could get a game. It's just not happening, is it? I know he got 10 points last game week, and a lot of you guys will be twerking over that score and think Cavani is the solution to your forward problems this game week. But he's just not going to start the game. I doubt he'll even get off the bench, assuming he's in the squad. Cavani will be nicely rested for the Europa League final. United fans, you will be very pleased that he's rested for that Europa League final, because he's been absolutely fantastic for you, and he does need that little bit of rest, doesn't he? So whatever you do, guys, you have to avoid Cavani. So to summarise, guys, I would say that Liverpool are the main team to target. Then I would also target West Ham players, as they kind of, there's a few good players to target there, and there's not very much rotation in that West Ham team anyway, typically. We're also interested in Leicester, but their fixture it's okay. It's better for attackers, isn't it? Chelsea, if we can avoid their rotation, they could be a good team to go for. And I guess to a lesser extent, we could have a look at Everton. You might want to consider Arsenal and Leeds players too, because they can still have a little bit of movement up there around the European places. But outside of that, pretty much everyone is an avoid, since they have nothing to play for. Not everyone, but most other players, I would say. So, but kind of avoid United, bringing in new United players. Kind of avoid bringing in new City players as well, probably. And focus on those teams competing for European places. And I think you'll be absolutely fine, guys. Now, one more piece of advice, and this is arguably the biggest advice I can possibly give you in this game week, is to wait for the Friday press conferences. There will be all of the press conferences for every team in the whole Premier League will happen on Friday, and that will probably at least give us some information about what kind of players are going to be starting. Some managers might say, oh, we're going to give some youth players a chance. They might announce some last minute injuries. They might say, we're actually going to rest this player. There's going to be all kinds of news all happening on Friday, so keep an eye on Twitter if you want to follow me at FPL Mate on Twitter. I'll hopefully try and keep you up to date with stuff as well, but there'll be plenty of news, and that's going to define a lot of our decisions. So obviously this video is still useful to you guys, but things can change, and it can kind of change who you want to take out your team. It can kind of change who you want to bring into your team, so do be aware of those press conferences. And then after them, Friday evening, during Saturday, Sunday morning, go ham on those transfers, guys. I'm probably going to wait till late on Sunday, till the last minute personally, but guys, do try and wait till after Friday before making your transfers. And there we have it, guys. That concludes the final buy, sell, keep, avoid video for this season. Now, guys, please do like the video if you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe if you're new around here. But, you know, the likes would be massively appreciated. And also, guys, I know some of you only watch the buy, sell, keep, avoid videos, and that's absolutely fine. If it's your favourite video that I make, that's absolutely fine. I know it's the most popular one, isn't it? So, guys, if I don't actually see you, or you don't see me, good luck for Game Week 38. Now, for the rest of you who join me every video, well, I'll see you plenty of times before Sunday's deadline. Don't worry about that. But yeah, for those of you who won't be joining me on other videos, I do want to make sure that I do send you well wishes and good luck messages, because yeah, you guys are going to smash it. I know you can do it. And yeah, it's just awesome. But there you go, guys. That's the end of Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid for the Premier League 2020-21 season. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.